Hello.
Hello.
She's
Liz.
meeting historian
Very pleased
Dr.
to meet
Heather
you.
Laird.
Hello, Heather. Is this my ancestral home?
I'm afraid not.
I thought maybe we'd done very well in Ireland. Heather, this is my first time in this part of the world. You've been doing a little bit of investigating for me.
Yes, I have. So I have a document from 1864 and it lists who was living where on plots of land in Ireland from the mid-19th century.
Aha, there we go. Bernard Ryan.
Bernard Ryan, who's also known as Barney as well. So
Okay,
some
Barney.
places he's Bernard, but
Yeah.
I think he was more commonly known as Barney Ryan. And Bernard was your great-great-great-grandfather.
Great, great, great.
Liz has followed the Ryan family line back to the middle of the 19th century. 3 generations before her grandmother Margaret, her great-great-great-grandfather Bernard Ryan lived in County Armagh's parish of Killeavy.
Bernard Ryan, or Barney Ryan, was leasing a home and 4 acres of land.
So the next column we've got letters. John Foxall, that's the person that he's leasing from, would that be?
Yes, that's right. John Foxhall was the landlord who owned this house, this castle
That's
that
why
we're
we're
in
here.
now. That's why we're here.
Okay.
So neighbouring landlords were Meredith Chambray and another landlord here, Seaver, as well. So interesting enough, all 3 of these landlords were descendants of a man with the name of Marmaduke Whitechurch, Sir Marmaduke Whitechurch.
It's a great name.
Yeah. He was given his land at the end of the 16th century.
At the time that Barney Ryan was living in Killeavy, large parts of Ireland were owned by wealthy landlords of English descent. In the 16th and 17th centuries, the British Crown had confiscated farmland and given it to Protestant settlers from England and Scotland. Now most of the native Catholic population were tenants, living in wretched conditions.
So had Barney always been a foxhole?
Barney in 1864 then, we know, had a holding on John Foxhall's land.
Yeah.
But previous to that, he had a holding on Meredith Chambray's estate. Now this is highly unusual. In 19th century Ireland, you don't normally have examples of a small tenant farmer
Moving from landlord to landlord.
Yes.
To reveal more about Barney Ryan's life as a tenant farmer, Heather is bringing Liz to the house of his first landlord, Meredith Chambray.
So we're coming up now to Chambray's house, or what remains of it now.
Yeah. It doesn't look half as grand as Foxhall's place.
No, it's missing the castle bits.
It really is, the turrets. But
But-
it's big.
So it would have been grander in the mid-19th century. It is a beautiful view,
I was going to say, but that's quite the view, isn't it?
absolutely. And to give you a better sense of the house then, I have a watercolour of it here, depicting the house from the other side.
That's impressive.
Yes.
So it's got it all going on, hasn't it?
Absolutely. So Barney, your great-great-great-grandfather,
Yeah.
he would have come to this house possibly twice a year then to pay his rent. So this is Chambray.
Okay. He's definitely a man of means from what he's wearing there. A cocky stance. Loving the hand on the hip.
So Chambray, as well as being a landlord, was a magistrate.
Right.
And he would have been asked to be a magistrate on the basis of being a landlord, having this large estate.
So having property, having wealth, gave you that power.
Yes, yes. So all of these things are tied up together. So I think it's easy to understand how for ordinary tenant farmers then,
Yeah.
the law seems to be the landlord's law.
Yes. So this man of law, this wealthy man, is the landlord of my great-great-great-granddad Barney Ryan. But then Barney moves to Foxhall.
That's right.
Why? What happens?
I have a letter here that was sent to the London Daily News in 1852. At the time that this was written, your great-great-great-grandfather, Barney, was living on this estate. He was a man in his 20s and he had a young family.
A description of the estate, okay. So the traveller need not leave the railway to ascertain the poverty of the soil. Shallow, poor, covered with stones. The scanty crops, bleak aspect of everything, even under a summer sun, prepare the eye for the wretched stone hovels scattered over the face of the country. Wow. So bad soil, you can't grow anything. And then the dwellings just sound wretched. That's not good.
No. And this points to another context here. This is the period just after the Irish famine. So the Irish famine of 1845 to 1849.
When Barney Ryan was living on the Chambray estate, people in Ireland were still emerging from the disaster known as the Great Famine. 1 million people had died after a failure in the potato crop, and a further 1 million had fled the country. A number of landlords saw the famine as an opportunity to rid themselves of tenants who were failing to pay rent. They engaged in a campaign of mass evictions, sometimes even burning houses.
My eyes went down to the end. With
Yes.
the people in such a condition, the payment of rent must be the last consideration. And they who extract it, leaving them with, or sometimes without, the barest subsistence, must appear tyrants.
Yes.
So Chambray, this is about him.
This is about Chambray because it's a description of his estate. Yes. Yeah.
That's a strong word, a tyrant.
Yes.
So if you have a tyrant for a landlord, what could people in my great-great-great-granddad's situation do?
One common feature of 19th century Ireland is a rise of various kinds of societies around which the poor tenant farmers, mostly Catholic, gathered to try to, I suppose, control the conditions around them.
It's a bit like unionising.
Actually, yes.
Kind of.
And one of the ways that they did this was by writing threatening letters or notices. So here's a threatening letter that Chambray received towards the end of 1851. At the point of time that your great-great-great-grandfather is on this estate.
To all this concerns, and beware of general avenger. I am not fools. I am giving you timely warning, all tyrants and oppressors of the poor. It's over you, particular landlords, particularly in the seed time. If they don't give their tenants seed oats to put in their land and lower their rents, it will be measured with their corpse. This is powerful stuff, isn't it?
I love threatening letters of the 19th century. And they always are written in this very colourful language.
Aren't they? I mean, wow, this is great. And there is Mr. Chambray, a beggar man. He had better keep close, but if he does not, he may have his coffin ready. But we will bury him when he will neither have coffin or shroud around him.
The reference to Chambray as a beggar man.
Yeah.
He's a beggar man because he's taking what isn't, or looking for what shouldn't be his. It doesn't belong to him.
It's signed, I am General Vengeance.
Threatening letters could be signed by General Vengeance, or Captain Rock was another, Captain Blowbrains I've seen somewhere else in a threatening letter.
But like, you know, there's we're not fools, you're tyrants, oppressors of the poor. The language is so extreme. This isn't a joke, this is serious business, isn't it?
This is serious business.
We've had enough. Trying to piece together all the bits that I now know about Barney and the situation, that we have a tyrannical landlord. And these letters, what did Barney do? Was he a writer of these letters? Did he go further? Remember, there's this rumour, it was just a rumour, but now it's like, was it more than that? That there was an altercation, maybe an assault, maybe even a murder. It doesn't take a lot now for me to go, what happens? Does he take the law into his hands?
Liz wants to know if the threatening letter Meredith Chambray received had any effect. She's come to the site of Chambray's stables, now converted into a cafe, to meet historian Dr. Kyle Hughes.
I have a letter for you.
Great.
I'm dying to know more.
Wonderful.
So I got given this yesterday, and it's from General Vengeance, and it's to Chambray.
Yes.
It blew my mind. It's an incredible, incredible letter.
Well, after this now, we have this document here, which is a couple of extracts from local press sources on what happened next.
Fork Hill, Tuesday night. Mr. Chambray, his brother and servant were returning this evening from petty sessions on a car when a shot was fired, which struck Mr. Chambray's hat. Sorry. I love that it struck his hat.
Yeah.
A second one, oh no, it goes serious now. A second one struck him in the head, whereupon he jumped off his car and ran across the road, and in doing so fell. So 2 shots, second one actually in the head.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine 1 shot, but several pellets. So it's a blunderbuss. So it'll be several pellets would have hit him.
Is that how that works?
Yeah. So we know that he's returning from his duties as a magistrate, and somebody has been lying in wait, obviously. So he has not heeded the warnings, or the warnings of the threatening letter seem to have been carried through.
The letter, the General Vengeance letter, was from December 1851. When do we know when this was?
This is January 1852, I think.
So they didn't give him a lot of time to change his ways. Presumably, Chambray didn't make amends, didn't do anything about lowering the rents.
Yeah.
Does he die?
No, not. He doesn't die. He's quite seriously injured. He took quite a few shots from the blunderbuss, but he didn't die. No.
Some days previous, he received information of 3 men named to shoot him. The police, on the occurrence, were at once sent to the houses of those parties and found one in bed with his trousers on. I like the detail.
Yes.
Love the detail here. That's good to know. And a ribbon ticket in his pocket with his own name on it and Mr. Chambray's under it. And also found several ribbon papers in his house.
So
I have too many questions. Ribbon papers.
Ribbon papers. That is something, obviously, that really stands out. The ribbon papers refer to the papers, perhaps the passwords of something called the Ribbon Society, the Ribbon Men.
The Ribbon Society was a secret Irish Catholic movement established at the start of the 19th century. Their aim was to pressure landlords to treat their rural tenants fairly by abiding by an unwritten code.
The Ribbon Men had a very distinct idea of how the rural society should be structured and how it should be administered. So somebody like Chambray, a local landlord who was deemed to be unfair or treating his tenants unfairly in whatever way that would be, perhaps his rents were too high, perhaps he evicted a tenant, and the Ribbon Men disagreed with this.
Like a mix of like a union, in a way, and vigilantes.
Absolutely. I think that's a very good way to put it.